Welcome to Pass and Move. Today we'll be focusing on Aston Villa. This series is going to be all about Aston Villa. Currently they're in the Championship, but they used to be obviously European champions, as you can see from their history. Let me just get that up. Yep, European champions, and they also used to be English Premier Division uh, winners. So the whole point of this series is going to be to restore Aston Villa back to their former glory. It's been over 30 years since they've won the European Championship, and obviously quite a while since they last won the Premier League as well. So the point of this series is just to try as much as possible to get them into the Premier League, and then hopefully win both competitions. Um, it's going to be quite a tough ask, but I think this season shouldn't be too difficult. We're predicted to, let me see, where are we predicted to end? I think we should be predicted, yeah, there we go, third place. So we're predicted to get promoted. So it shouldn't be too difficult this first season, hopefully. But once we get into the Premier League is where it's going to be our real challenge, where we need to, try and um, dominate the league, really. So hopefully we could do that. So first, let me just show you the squad that I've got so far. As you can tell, we're in 7th August. Today's going to be the first game against Sheffield Wednesday. I think that's the name actually. Sorry, I think Sheffield Wednesday. Sorry. So yeah, it's the first game. I didn't think there'd be much use showing you the preseason. I felt I could show you what's going on afterwards. Once I've dealt with everything that goes on in preseason. So first, I'll just show you my squad here. So we're playing with a 4-4-2 formation, and that normally means I like to have 2 players per position. So that would mean 2 goalkeepers, 2 right backs, 2 left backs, 4 centre backs, 4 centre mids, 2 left mids, 2 right mids, and 4 strikers up top. So as you can tell with the squad here, they were most suited to 4-4-2 formation, which is the reason that I went for it. As you can tell with the, let's see, the best 11 players. Let me just get that up. Yeah, the best 11 players. So out of the best 11, 2 of them were the strikers. 2 wingers and 2 centre mids as well. I mean, there's an attacking midfielder here, but it didn't really make sense to play with an attacking midfielder considering the strikers were much better. So that's how I normally decide my squad. I just sort it by ability, check the players' roles, see what suits them. And we've got a deep lying playmaker, who's one of the best players in the club, so why not, make use of him. The Jordan Ayew is my assistant says he's best as a complete forward, but I actually think he's more suited to a poacher role. He's decent as a complete forward, but there's a couple of things that he's lacking in that makes me think he's not perfect for it. So he's much better for poacher. He's got acceleration, agility, his pace is decent as well. He can, finish as well, off the balls quite well. So I figured he's more suited for that role. So considering we're playing with a poacher, deep line playmaker, it all seems to be the sort of roles made for 4-4-2. As for the schedule, it's just a bunch of preseason friendlies. As you can tell, we won them all, but as you can also tell, these clubs are very small clubs. What I tend to do whenever it comes to preseason, as I can't show you before, but anyways, what I normally do when it's preseason, let's say this is the first day of preseason, I will go to friendly. I make sure it's on home so I can earn the money from gate receipts and things like that. And I set it to very small reputation teams, and so that way you're not paying too much money, but you're still getting a really decent income. Obviously, it depends on your club, but one of the good things about this as well is that you make a lot of money, and it's a real confidence boost for your players beforehand. I mean, I know they like competitive fixtures, but it's much better to just play good easy games that makes you money, that your team wins, and they head into the season full of confidence. Hopefully, they won't be complacent and won't backfire. Today won't actually be showing you the game against Sheffield Wednesday. I think it's much more about an intro for Aston Villa, not really much game time, and hopefully next episode we start showing you live comms and things like that. But anyways, that's not what I normally do in my fixtures, which is why preseason fixtures, which is why it shows like that we've won every single one of them. And the way that I normally do as well is that, let's say it's 23rd of August, the next game I'd have would be 26th of August. So I normally just give them 2 days rest in between for preseason, so that way by the time they reach first game of the season, they're really fit. I do that up until about 1 week before the first fixture of the game. So let's say it's 7th August here, I would stop just above 7th August. I think that should be 1st of August, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyways, just give them a week off beforehand so they could, completely be fit. Just to go back to the squad, a couple of these injuries, obviously no injuries that actually, you know, soon as you start the game sort of thing. It's more of what happened during preseason. So, um, Golini, I think that's how you say it. He's gonna be our first choice keeper, but unfortunately he's injured. So Mark Bunwall, we have listed him and try to get him on loan as well. Send him out on loan because we're trying to just get rid of him by any means necessary. Um, he's gonna be a backup goalkeeper now since we don't want to, since we don't have our first choice. And Jeste is going to be who was our backup is going to be our first choice for now until Golini gets back. Maybe if he does improve, I mean he's 23, so he's not really going to improve that much as according to my assistant. He's going to improve a lot, but I doubt it. But let's see how he performs. We're going to be playing Micah Richards in the centre back position along with James Chester, Tommy Elphick, and Nathan Baker. James Chester's another injury, unfortunately. He's out for 3 to 5 weeks. Alan Hutton as well. So Alan Hutton's a less severe injury, but hopefully, we can start getting these players back. The squad's decent on a whole, but obviously we need some real improvements next season in the Premier League. In terms of what we're predicted, what the board expects, actually, not what we're predicted. We're expected to just reach a playoff position, so that should be anywhere from 1st to 6th, which is hopefully should be easy to do. I mean, really should be expecting this from Aston Villa side that just got relegated. I know it had a horrible season, but they should have the squad to, get. I think we're the last team to play as well, apparently, with Sheffield Wednesday on the first round of fixtures. Anyways, in terms of the FA Cup here, you can see we're expected to reach the 4th round, and in the EFL Cup, we reach the 3rd round. So all these targets aren't too difficult. Thankfully, the board are very understanding, and we should be able to win. In terms of the under-23s, let me just bring them all up here. I'll show you the under-18s as well together in one go. We have some decent ability. I mean, Carlos Sanchez and Carlos Gil, they're much older, of course, but they're sent out on loan. Ability is decent. I mean, a couple of them, I guess we could call up if there's any sort of crazy run of injuries or anything like that. That's normally why I only have 2 players per position so that I could bring in youngsters and blood them. A couple of them have decent potential. I've sent out a lot of them on loan to hopefully get some more, more serious game time. So as you can tell here, yeah, some decent potential. Hopefully we can see them come through. But I think once we got to the Premier League, hopefully, it's going to be a bit more difficult for these youngsters to come in. In terms of tactics, let me just show you the screen. This is the team we'll be starting off. As you can tell, most of them have, decent fitness. It's just the entire Mings who have just come into the side, and that's why they don't really have much fitness as well as our bench. But that should come in, a couple of games' time. We'll be playing with Grealish on the left, Adoma on the right, Delat and Mings on his fullbacks, Elphick and Baker as centre backs, and Westwood and Jednak in centre mid position. And as you can tell, strikers here, quite a decent strike force. Hopefully we'll make the most of it. They are, a pair of the best players in the club, so it should work out well. We've got him on target man support and AU on poacher. We've got the winger and target man who are both on support duties together, so that way they're not getting into each other's space. If you play a target man on the same spot as your winger on the right who's attacking, they tend to get into each other's space, and it's not too well. So it makes more sense to play as the poacher who attacks more on the same wing as that. We've got a deep lying playmaker on defend duty, just so you can cover Mings, overlapping runs forward, and a box-to-box midfielder, just because it makes sense to play these sort of roles when you're playing a more direct play. In terms of instructions, that's what we'll be doing, especially because we're playing according to the roles, so it makes sense to play a higher tempo, more direct passing when you got a deep lying playmaker in a box-to-box and target men as well, target man, not men. We've given them a bit of creative freedom, considering that we are playing on structured, as you can tell, the team shape. So we're giving them a bit more freedom, considering that we're expected to get promotion. So if we are going to get promotion, then it makes sense that we're one of the best teams in the league. So if we give them a bit more freedom, it should pay off. You don't really want to be giving teams that are expected to be relegated or anything like that creative freedom, because that will just backfire. I want them to roam from the positions just to confuse defenders more often. I just like giving my players freedom of movement. When you have your setting on roam from positions, it tends to help with keeping possession. And if we're going to be playing, more directly in higher tempo, we'll tend to lose possession more often than usual. So just roam from positions is something that I like, and it should work out in our favor as well. Unlike most people, I just I just tend to have, you know, 3, 4, maybe 5 tops instructions. I don't like to have a lot of instructions. As you can tell, we have them on standard. It's just the way that I like to start my game. But afterwards, I'll be turning in, like depending on the game situation, I'll be changing it to attacking or countering. When you play directly, I think what works best is attack or counter. And when you play possession football, it helps to have control and counter. So that's why I've got exactly the same instructions set here, just attacking mentality and counter mentality here. So then I normally keep it on this, and then during game time, I'll just switch the mentality to attacking or counter depending on opposition. In terms of team report, um, you know, a couple of good things such as, you know, the jumping reach, especially since we have a target man, coaching staff, formations, things like that. Defense is pretty decent. Richard is a really strong right back. But our weaknesses are quite concerning. We are not really good at passing, which makes sense not to play possession football, and not really much work rate. So hopefully that won't backfire. First touch, things like that. Apparently we're lacking a bit of leadership, which is a bit ironic considering, if I remember right, I think it will show. Yeah, we've got Mal Jednak, who's, I think that's how you say his name. His leadership is 19, so I'm not quite sure what my assistant is on about. But hopefully, you know, these things our weaknesses won't be exposed too often this season. In terms of staff, I brought a couple of them, of staff members on board. I had to get an assistant manager. I had to get managers for the youth teams. I think quite a lot of the staff left with when they got relegated last season, so that's why I had to get quite a couple of the staff. As you can see, we got one of the best attacking coaching in the Sky Bet Championship. Goalkeeper's not doing too badly. I mean, most of them are just above average, which is what we like. Later on, I'll be asking the board so we could improve that area to get in more coaches. Sorry. And we've got the best scouting in the competition, so hopefully that won't backfire. And physiotherapy not too awful either. In terms of training during preseason, I tend to have it on balanced, not balanced, sorry, team cohesion and intensity level on high. That way you get, you know, a lot of their fitness going on, as well as getting the players used to each other at the same time. And I always have it, no matter during preseason or during the season itself, always have it set on match tactics. And then according to what my scout says, I will change the main focus depending on that. So yeah, that's normally what I do. But during season itself, in general training, I just have it on balance and average, and you know, that way we're not focusing on either attacking or defending too much. You can see our coaches set up. I've just got someone on my assistant manager just on every single one of them, just to, you know, try and lower the intensity levels over here, the coach's workload. But everything else, as you can tell, is quite decent. I mean, we can improve in terms of defending and ball control as well as shooting, but everything else is quite well. I mean, fitness is decent, tactics, everything else is not too bad. In terms of scouting, we're only allowed to scout within the continent, so I'm trying to improve that. We've got quite a number of scouts, so you know, not too bad. In terms of the assignments I've got set up, I've just doubled up on every single European country, and I've tripled up on the UK because that's where we are, and that's where we're gonna try and get as much knowledge as possible. As you can tell, we've completed UK and Ireland, so I might move a couple of them later on to other areas that we need improving, such as Scandinavia, Central Europe, that sort of stuff. The reason why I've got scouting, the ones I'm looking for right now, let me just show you the squad quickly again. What I need is actually a striker, I think. Ali Sissoko is asking to leave, so I think I'm just going to sell him since you know, he's complaining to me. As soon as a player asks me to leave, I just sell him. I don't like to keep them because then they just don't play well, and they just keep complaining no matter what. So I figure just sell him, get it over with, get another left back. We did have an empty spot in left back earlier as well, which is why I brought in Tyrone Mings. I'll show you all the transfers in a minute. But yeah, I had to bring a player on loan because of the finances. And we also need a striker. As you can tell now, I've just brought up a couple of youngsters because of the injuries. I won't necessarily be playing them. I'm just keeping them there as backup just in case something else, you know, happens to my main team. It's just there so that way when I don't bring up a youngster in the last second and they end up not being fit because, you know, they just play the game for the younger teams. So I'll be looking for a striker, and I need to get a striker who I can either get on a free or get them on loan without having to pay too much. So if you got any suggestions, that'd be great. I am looking for a striker. I normally have the ability set on good minimum. Let me just bring on the realistic transfer. So that's the sort of thing that I'll be looking at. But yeah, it doesn't look too good so far in terms of a striker. I'm just waiting for more scouting reports from my scouts to see if there's anyone available. Hopefully that should be all sorted out soon. In terms of my board, what I normally do with finances is that I always set it all the way to the end of the wage budget. I like doing that because you get the finances sorted out well. See, as you can tell here, that they're really happy with my control of the wage budget. And the way that you do it, I always just keep setting it all the way to the minimum. And eventually the finances improve so much to the point where the board don't let you move it to the end anymore, and they just consistently give you more money. So there's been times I've done it with Manchester United. Obviously, they're a much bigger team, but it works with any team actually. I've tried it with so many teams, but with Manchester United particularly because of the money they make, I had it the wage budget set on 5 million, and the weekly wages was just 3 million. So I was 2 million over my budget, or under, I guess. And my transfer budget was still 200 million. So the board were really happy, and I still had plenty of money as well to spend on whoever I wanted to spend it on. So yeah, I just keep doing that normally in my finances until they invest, and I need to do that now, because if I set it all the way here, for example, and then spend that money, there's going to be an issue when I go up to the Premier League. I won't really have much money, or even during the season, we're going to start causing finance issues. As you can tell here, our overall balance is decent, but we are making a loss, so that's why I have to set the wage budget all the way to the end. Before I did that, the transfer budget, I was expected not to have a transfer budget next season at all. So, now I'm expected to have 6 million, and this number will continue to go higher as the season goes on, because of my wage management. And as you can tell here, our financial status is actually that we're rich. So I just have to keep managing the finances until I can actually afford getting in players, not just getting in players for the sake of it, or for the lack of numbers when I don't actually have the money for it, because it'll just backfire anyways. So I'd much rather promote from within, or just get someone on loan or free as well. So let me just show you the transfer history. So the only in we have is Tyrone Mings, because I was looking for a left back, as we didn't have an appropriate left back at the main squad. We did have obviously youngsters, but they weren't ready for Championship football. They were all Sky Bet League 2 or Vanarama National sort of ability. The main outs are just all loans, but unfortunately for us, Libor Kozak decided to leave to Atlanta. He kept complaining that he wanted to go. We haven't even started. We haven't even kicked off yet the season, so I just decided to sell him since he was complaining. He was our other target man, so we wouldn't really need a striker yet if it wasn't for him leaving. But unfortunately, we do need a striker now. I didn't invest the money that I got from him. It's 2.4, but it can go up to 3.8 mil. I haven't invested that. I just sent it right back into the wage budget, because I can't really sorry about that, really spend that money. Who are you going to get in with 2 million? So I just decided to put it in the wage budget and see if I can get anyone on loan, as well as maybe get someone in who doesn't have a contract, free agent or anything like that. In terms of board requests, I tend to ask on the 1st of every month, every possible board request. As you can tell here, there's not really much I don't really ask for a transfer budget, wage budget, because then they improve it when they have the finances normally. I tend to ask for every possible scenario on the 1st of every month. In the beginning, they won't really respond well. They won't really actually, give you anything. But later on, if you perform well, they'll start doing it. Anyways, I think that's pretty much all. I'm not sure when I'll come back for a live com, but it depends on how the season goes. I might actually show you the first game of the season next episode. That would make sense. Maybe you could even do a double header of the EFL Cup. It's the first round, so we expect to reach, I think, 3rd round. So yeah, I might do that. Definitely, we'll be definitely showing the Aston Villa rivals. I'm not sure if there's any rivals here during the season, but let me have a look at the club history. Let me see. General, actually, I think it's in general. Yeah, first rivals Birmingham. So I think Birmingham they are in the Championship, so we'd definitely be showing those sort of games. West Brom in the Premier League, so there's no chance of that unless there's an EFL Cup. Wolves, we should definitely show. I'm not sure where Coventry are. They're in the League One, so can't do that yet either. But definitely Birmingham and Wolves games will be showing that for sure. Let me have a look at the schedule. So Wolves are here. Birmingham are here, so we might do a couple of those games, and also depends on where everyone ends up in the season. You know, if there's a top of the table clash sort of thing, I'll be showing you that. Let me just quickly have a look in terms of the season preview, the top teams. So yeah, if there's a Norwich game as well, a Newcastle game, Brighton maybe, Derby, it really depends on how the season goes. I mean, if you've got any particular fixtures you guys want to have a look at, watch the live comms and such, just let me know. So yeah, I think that'll be all for today. If you like this episode, please, hit the like button. Let me know how you feel in the comment section as well. And I think that'll be all. Thanks, guys. Take care.